Good morning, Facebook, Instagram family. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Back to the World presents Back to the World, my brother and my sister's keeper. Thank you guys for coming on board this morning. Any music that you may hear in the background, we don't own the rights to. But if you have any comments, questions, anything that you care to share, hit us in the boxes down below. All right? Man, again, another beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. And this is one of those days, man, where uh, I mean, I just feel so good to be here and able to share this moment in this space with you guys. And we just don't even have a subject. We don't even have a title. We don't have a subject matter. Uh, Again, last night on Billionaires Roundtable Conference, we talked about faith. We talked about believing in the unseen, but yet manifesting it, right? And one of the things that we talked about was meditation. And I think that a lot of people go into a lot of people, I don't know what mode they go into, to be honest with you, because sometimes they give things an illogical logic, and they make what I want to say, they make a presentation out of it, right? Meditation is just withdrawing into oneself. It's becoming within, and you don't have to go any place to do that. You don't have to sound the gong, ring the bells in order to give notice, and then have the jester come out and toot the trumpet and say that attention, attention, hear ye, such and such is about to meditate. You don't have to do that. All you really have to do is just be quiet and turn within. And that's what moments like these are. I just had a quiet moment. But now I'm having a quiet moment as I talk to you guys. And as I said, sometimes we talk, but we talk to listen. I talk to listen a lot, and I guess that's why, back in the day, people who are just meeting me, they will possibly find it hard to believe that I was a very quiet person. I was quiet. I would listen. I would laugh at certain things. I'd throw a joke or two out there, but I was very, very introverted. I was withdrawn to a degree, and it spooked a lot of people. It wasn't my intention, but it worked to my advantage. And then, after getting incarcerated, you got to speak up for yourself. I never was one that was a shy to speak up, that was afraid to speak up, but I talked by using less energy. I would say what needed to be said at that particular time. And when I said that I wanted to do a podcast, and I told this to people that I'd known prior to my incarceration, they laughed at it. They said, man, on a podcast, you got to do a lot of talking and the whole bit. I didn't give that much thought. But once I got into the act, once I came home and I started doing the podcast, I was nervous as hell. And I was nervous, ladies and gentlemen. And some fright set in. I was scared to a degree. But they said the definition of easy is hard done twice. After I'd done it 2 times, I no longer feared camera. But there are moments now it's turned into a job, and I have to do it. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Can't see who's checking in here. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. All right. Excuse me a sec. Smoking a very expensive cigar this morning. It was a gift. I didn't have the money to afford it, but back to what I was saying is that I decided to come out of my shell, and I had to try something different, something that was against the grain for me to a degree, and that was speaking to you guys. And there are literally days that I still get a little nervous, and I have second thoughts about coming on. But I know that I said I wanted to do this, and I was dedicated to it, and I said it at a time in my life where physically I was in the worst possible stage I'd ever been in my life. I've been sick, but I haven't had life-threatening illnesses or what have you. You know, I've had situations that happened, and a lot of things didn't go my way. But see, for the most part, everything that I had set out to do, I pretty much accomplished it. So I didn't have a lot of failures. So when I experienced failure, you know, you're still responsible for your sanity. You're still responsible for your well-being. You're still responsible for your health. But now you're dealing with something, and it's almost like being right-handed, and now you're playing the game or doing everything left-handed. Or you're doing it with one hand tied behind your back. And that's the true testament of will and determination. So that's how I felt in starting this podcast. And the fact is, I'm still not good at incorporating all of the ones that want to come on and share the screen with me and the whole bit. I'm still not adept at that as much as I know what needs to be done. I just don't know how to do it. And because I can't get many of you to come on and share the screen with me, then I must talk for the duration that I'm on live. So imagine someone that's keeping their mouth closed, and now he's having to talk just to keep this going. And I hope that I can share enough to hold your interest and make you want to watch day in and day out, right? You know, many of us have stories, and we never know the size of a man's shoes until we try them on. And we never know until we walk a mile in those shoes. And then we can feel all the crevices, the crooks, the bumps, the lumps. And then we can kind of get an idea of what he had to go through. Ladies and gentlemen, who I am right now, it was formed as a young kid. as a young kid, I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how I was going to go about achieving it. But before I tell you a story making you think that when I was a little bitty boy, I knew I wanted to be a millionaire, a billionaire. That's I posted a picture this morning of me uh, in my high school court, and in that particular picture, I was most attractive. I was salutatorian, and I was most likely to succeed. Me and a young lady by the name of Miss Charmaine Belanger. Right? Shout out to Charmaine. In the event anybody's watching and know her, and they seen the picture this morning. Well, Charmaine and I were the most attractive in the 1973 homecoming court. And in that yearbook then, that year I said that I wanted to be filthy rich, a plain old filthy. And here it is almost, it's actually 50 years later. 50 years later, and nothing's changed. I still feel that way. I should have left off the plain old filthy, because as I told you, when you pray to God, you have to pray to Him specifically. You have to specify. So when I said that if I couldn't be one, then I'm going to be the other. It would have been nice being somewhere in the middle, somewhere at the top. But you get second chances, and this time my prayers are different, and they're for something different, because not only do I want to be, financially secure, but I want to be so financially secure that it would enable me to do good and do right by my family, and to be able to do right by those that I don't know, those I've never met. I've always been a kid that to see somebody suffer and to see somebody hurt, struggling, it always bothered me as a kid, man. And I'm telling you, I've had relatives that tell me, man, you care too damn much, man. Man, don't worry about that, man. Man, don't get that man no change, man. That man probably got more money than you. And he probably did. But it would hurt me to see somebody struggle and to see somebody suffer. And when I turned the corner from this mega church in my neighborhood, I see a bunch of cars lined up, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock that night, which is a Monday night, only to line up to take part in receiving food from the food pantry, which doesn't open until 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock the next morning. And see, that's dedication in the midst of struggle, and especially when you have young kids. And I see people there, man. The cars I pull up, man, when I drive by, I see people in Mercedes, Jaguars, Cadillac Escalades. Saw one guy in a Porsche a while back when I volunteered to give out the food and everything. I think that now I try to articulate. I'm having difficulties reaching some friends, some loved ones, and family members to understand my mindset now. sometimes I listen to people that I know, and they would complain about, man, simple things, man. They would, it would almost come off as them whining. But I know in my heart of hearts they have not been tested. They have not been challenged. And I've had some people tell me that, I've changed. And I know that I have. But before my incarceration, none of these people lived the life that I lived. And they didn't live it to the extent in which I lived it. I mean, I had people that would clean for me. I had people that would pressure wash my driveway. I had people that would make up my bed just like in a hotel. I know this is TMI, but sometimes in a day, I wasn't germophobic, but I was always concerned about cleanliness. And I would keep my place impeccable. Even after the people clean for me, there are certain things that I would do. Even though I had folk that would do my laundry, every now and then I would still do my laundry because I enjoyed the way I would fold it. I would wear a shirt one time, would not even get a stain under the arm nor a ring around the collar. But you can rest assured, that shirt was going to the dry cleaning the next day. I would pile my shoes up in the trunk of my car and I would take them to the shoe repair man and have my shoes shined. Have them washed with saddle soap and have them shined. Right? That's just how meticulous I was, but some people would call it being anal retentive. Okay? Well, now, I would go a whole day and either not take a shower or a bath, either until the first thing I get up in the morning or the last thing before going to bed. I would come in from outside and I would do something that my mom just dreaded, man. I would jump on the bed with the clothes that I've had on in the streets, and I'll just lie on the bed and just kind of think of whatever the situation may be. Well, I've had people to tell me that, that's not cleanliness, and I understand that, you can carry germs and everything that way. I understand that. I was always concerned about how I looked, how I dressed. Everything was impeccable. Everything had to be in place. No hair on my face. Definitely no dreads. Now I can let this grow. I take it off. I keep the dreads twisted up. Every now and then I'll pull them down. So I have friends who say that I don't care about my appearance or anything anymore. And that couldn't be furthest from the truth. Where I have changed, ladies and gentlemen, I realized how blessed I am. Because I went 25 years without that. I went 25 years without having people cater to me and do my bidding on all the little things that I needed done. I wanted done at the snap of a finger. And it's hard for me to convey the message to them that I'm just so happy to be alive. I'm so happy to be able to do the things that I do because I went so long without being able to do them. I spent 25 years almost being, well, not all of it, but being quiet. Now I just have so much to say that's bottled up inside. And I want to let it out. But I've seen guys that were quote unquote spoiled, what they call the free world. And then when they got to prison, they expected the same treatment. Well, some of them had a rude awakening because they were beat up, they were robbed, and worse than worse, some were killed. Because you have more have-nots than haves. And when you're in a place of dread where everyone, no matter how wealthy you are, you can only spend $280 a month. You're going to wear the same clothes that everyone else wears. But, you know, guys go out of their way to try to set their image apart. And they want to look or represent a certain status in prison. Man, I went years without guys knowing how I lived, without guys knowing the monies that I had. And when they found out, they couldn't believe it. Because I didn't have brand new sweats. I only bought brand new tennis shoes when there was a need to buy. I wasn't buying them for status. I wasn't trying to keep up with the Joneses, with the inmate Joneses. I wasn't trying to do that. And I realized that I survived. I got most of my faculties. My health is good, thank God. And I did all that without having to have all those distractions that I had prior to my incarceration. Young guy asked me, he said, what did you think about every morning you woke up? Called me Unc. And I hadn't given that much thought, but the first thing that I said, I gave thanks to God. Second, I thought about who I can help and who I could hurt. What I could buy, what I could sell, what I could build, what I could destroy. And these were things that you thought about. Yeah, everybody's not going to say it, but when you have everything that you feel you want, you don't truly need anything else, then you feel like, you know, you want a peace of mind, so your mind drifts. And control becomes an issue because you want to control. I don't care what no one says. When you get a lot of money, you become a control freak. You really do. So when I decided to let go and let God, image doesn't bother me anymore. And when a lot of my friends, relatives, and people I know, I thank God that they don't have to go through what I went through. And I can share my story with them. Because some of my people, man, they are spoiled to death and they don't have a clue how blessed they are. You know, they complain about every little bitty thing. They complain if a picture on the wall is crooked. I have to remind them I didn't have a wall, nor a picture to put on it, let alone it being crooked. But I still was responsible for being just as happy under those conditions as you were in your mansion. Sometimes we just gotta let those things go because, see, those things don't mean much to me anymore. And when you're on a grind, it's like, let me share this with you, right? Because I've experienced that too. But most guys who are drug dealers, and there are drug dealers, they always talk about the grind. They always talk about them being in a trap house. See, I never had to do that, but I never had to do it at that level. But I had to do it. And when you get so caught up because things are important, And all you need to make is one mistake and your life is over as you know it. So you would have a tendency, man, to wear the same clothes for 3 days. You may not take a shower, you may take a wash up. We want to pretend that this don't exist. Man, I done had millions of dollars that I had to count. And I couldn't go to bed. I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't take a shower. I couldn't take a bath. I had to wash my face just to stay awake. Had to make sure the money was right. We may have gotten it wrong 2 or 3 times. We had to recount it. Then all this filth and grime is on my hands. And my clothes are smelly. So imagine these young guys when they say they're in a trap house and had to stay in the house. I listened to a song Lil Baby made, or his sister said he came home, he borrowed the equivalent of $60, and he said that he was going hustle. And he left home and didn't come back for 7 days. And when he came back, he had the same clothes on. But he had turned that $60 into $100,000. That's what happens when you're on your grind and when you're on your journey. I don't care if I'm inventing a Microsoft company. I'm inventing an Amazon company. There are going to be sleepless days, sleepless nights. There's going to be bathless days and bathless nights. There's going to be a time. I got to have my toothbrush. I got to have that regardless. So whenever I used to pack and I'm going on an escapade, if I didn't have shit, I had my toothpaste. I had deodorant. I had some wipes. You're on a grind. Don't judge me by how I live. I've had to live in and out of the trenches. I know the difference. I know that being meticulous and I'm prepping and I'm doing all this bullshit and I'm in the midst of a struggle, things are going bad. I know. I need my clarity. I need that moment to meditate. I need that moment to be focused. Because I don't need to make no mistakes. So don't try and make me who you would like for me to be. Accept me for who I am with all my warts. Accept me for that. And don't think for 1 second that I've lowered my standards. I haven't lowered my standards. On the contrary, I've increased them. Because now more so than before, I want for my brethren and my sisters what I want for myself. So if you're not hearing from me as often as maybe you used to, or if I haven't gotten back with you at a time in which you thought that I should have, just know that I have your best interest at heart. I just don't have a lot of time for small talk and rhetoric when I'm trying to build for the both of us, for all of us. I don't need to be distracted. That's not what I want to do, and that's not what I want to happen to me. Right? So they say, if you can't do something to help me, then at least don't do anything to hurt me. Let me create. Give me that. That's the best gift that you can give me. I have a friend say, hey, What do I need right now? Just a whole lot of leaving alone. And sometimes that's all you need. This is therapeutic for me. I don't share everything with you that I share with my therapist. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't share everything with the therapist. I really don't. Because the truth is, I don't think he can handle it. There are moments that I'm consulting him. You know what I mean? It's just like a computer. He can only give back to me what I share with him. And then he'd form a conclusion. But only I know the full story. And there are just some secrets that you want to keep for yourself. I've definitely come to learn that when you share some things with people, they turn around and they use it against you. And they say that you never let another man know where your goat is tied. It's because they'll steal it, or they'll whip that goat. So it's very, very hard for me to open up 100%. It really is. It really is. And when I find someone that I can confide in and can listen, then I can talk, I can share. And that's what I'm doing now. There are people on here I may not ever get a chance to meet. I sold a young lady some Batana oil, and she reached out to me through someone else, right? She's seen me on the page, and when she was ready to place an order, she sent her information, and we made arrangements for me to deliver the Batana oil to her. Well, I called her to get directions. When I called her to get directions, she said that my number popped up in her phone and that we were already in communication. And it turned out we were. We met at a networking extravaganza. And you see, we exchanged numbers and we never talked to each other. We never got back with each other. I guess at that point in time we didn't have anything to communicate on mutually. But once she saw that, she was like, wow. And when she told me that, I was like, double wow. Because that's kismet. You know, that means that, you know, in Yiddish, that meant that it was God and it was meant to happen that way. So that's why you have to be mindful when you get on here, the things that you say, things that you do, because you never know who's watching. And you have to be accountable for your words. So I may get on here from time to time and be just a little silly, but I don't want to be a total buffoon, a total goofy. You know? Because you never know. Now sometimes I may say some not so nice words, but the way society is today, the things that I say, they're said on television, on all the programs and the movies. But some of the things I hear the young folks say, and some people get on here say, hey, how do most of the women say it make you want to clutch your pearls? It make you want to clutch your pearls, man. You know what I mean? So, so guys, don't look at my change as uh, a digression. Don't look at it as that. Look at it as a new and improved me. You know, the secret to just about every solution, to every problem rather, believe it or not, is reverse engineering. Whenever there's research that's done, I'm talking about all the strategists, about all the engineers, about all of our, because see, everything is engineering. I don't care what it is, even the way we formulate our words to try and get a response. You're engineering the sentence to get the results of the response that you seek, right? So whenever you feel like something didn't work, you always have to go from the end and go back to the beginning. And as you go back, it's smooth. It's smooth. And then there's a bump. It's disjointed. Well, usually that's where your problem lies. So now, just in that segment right there, you need to correct that little part. So that's why they call it reverse engineering. So whenever you have a problem, you sit back and you dissect it. And you travel back. You go backwards. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get your answer. So, see, beginning and end. It seems like an antithesis, but it really isn't. It's a part of the same. So sometimes you just have to check yourself. See, I know what good life is as we know it. You know, monies, material goods, people giving you your accolades, patting you on the back. That's the good life. But then there's struggle. You can't compare struggle and good if you haven't experienced either. Like I told you before, at one point in my life, I had never experienced failure. Then when I did, I didn't think that it was the end of the world. Definitely not mine. I just felt that it can be fixed. Imagine a homeless person, and I know some of you will say, oh man, yeah man, they can do that. Imagine a homeless person, a person that used to be well kept. And they were so caught up on it. They were so caught up on cleanliness. They were so caught up on being clean. They were so caught up on being fresh. They were so caught up on eating at the best restaurants and tasting the best food. Place yourself in that person's position now that all of that has been taken away from them, and now they're homeless. You don't know where you're going to sleep. You don't know what you're going to eat, nor when. You don't have no form of information that's being passed to you. All you're doing now, unless you have a phone. And if you have a phone without a plug, without a charger, now you're just separated from the world. I don't even see newspapers anymore. So, and see, I'm a voracious reader. So if I don't have anything to read or anything like that, man, I'm lost. So now you're homeless, you're destitute, your hair is unkempt, you're smelly, you're sleeping on the same things. You're still trying to be as neat as you possibly can the whole bit, but there are just certain things that's just not allowing you to have that physical comfort that you seek. But your comfort lies in God. Your comfort lies in your heart, in your spirit. Your comfort lies between your ears. And you have to realize that all that shit is immaterial. It doesn't even matter. You have to be in a healthy state of mind in order to stay sane under those circumstances. And don't you know right now in our society today, you have over 2 million plus that are homeless, that are on the streets. I'm going to check those numbers again, but in a country of approaching 400 million, you have at least that many, at least 10% that are homeless and destitute. Now let's talk about the ones that are one paycheck from being homeless and being destitute. They're frightened to death. They're more fearful of the people who are living in the trenches, because the people who are living in the trenches, they're already there. They're figuring it out every day, right? But those who are on the brink of being out on the streets, they struggle, they grind hard. They stress, they complain, they bitch about everything, the whole bit. And let me tell you something. They're making it. And then they turn this into a mantra, and this becomes their life. But then they suffer mental illness. Then they suffer cancer or some other debilitating disease. And that takes them away, and that wipes them out. Because they wasn't living a healthy how I want to say it, they're not living a healthy mental health free life. They're worrying about every little thing that they don't have control of, and they're too busy trying to micromanage that which they can. And you'll be surprised what that can do to you, ladies and gentlemen. I think sometimes you need to take a trip and truly engage someone that's living on the edge, someone that we consider been thrown away, and we must listen to their story, and we listen to how their day evolves. And then with some we should ask, how were you living prior to this? You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. See, it doesn't take much to please me these days. It doesn't. But it hurts me to know when I've hurt someone. It hurts me to know when I see someone hurt. It hurts me to know when I see someone struggling. And we don't have all the answers, but we ask them to seek those answers. And sometimes your pleasure or your resolve or your blessing comes when you're seeking. cruel world out here. But right now, until proved different, it's the only one that we have. And you're responsible, believe it or not, for your own happiness, your own sanity, and your own salvation. No matter what your life, no matter what your lot is in life, no matter if you're upper class, lower class, rich or poor, no matter what it may be, you're responsible for your happiness. All right? No one else is. No one else is. And oftentimes, we think that we know what's better for someone else than they know for themselves. That's an insult, and that's a slap in the face. And oftentimes, that's disrespectful. And when you can't come to the same terms on a subject, and if you're talking to a person that's hurting, you're hurting them more by continuing to disagree. I'm not saying be a yes man. Acknowledge the fact that you are apart in your philosophy on whatever the subject matter is. And just be a listening ear for that person. They just want to get it out. And sometimes that's all we need to make our day. Sometimes that's all we need. I'm just about through. Excuse me. You know, communication and cooperation is the cornerstone of our survival as a people. Our being at odds with one another, disagreeing on simple things, that in and of itself can be the destruction of us as a people. So no matter where you go from this day forward, sometimes just agree to disagree. It'll lighten the load in your heart. And it won't keep you so bitter. It won't keep you angry. And sometimes take inventory of who you talk to and how you talk to them. Not so much what they say to you. It's what you put out in the universe. And if every time you realize that you start a conversation with a question besides how you're doing, how are you? If the next sentence is a question, you need to do some inventory. Because now you're becoming judgmental, whether you know it or not. You're becoming prosecutorial. You know, because a question that leads to a question that leads to a question. Now you're making that person defensive. I'm telling you from experience. Unless you're there to do an interview, have a conversation. Because question after question after question, you're backing a person into a corner. And if you back them in a corner deep enough, they're gonna come out fighting. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean physical. With some, it may be physical. But you're gonna make them clam up. You're gonna make them shut up. You're gonna make them bitter towards you. Sometimes all a person that's in distress, sometimes all they need is answers. All they need is answers. They don't need questions. They need comfort. Questions becomes a burden. Questions become heavy. I already have a load. I already have a bunch of things I'm having to deal with. What are you giving me as a solution? What are you giving me as a resolve of this situation that I'm in? And sometimes all it takes to help somebody, man, is just to give them kind words, just to listen to whatever their situations are. And when they give you their theory of situations or whatever, now ask your question as to why they feel this way. Ask them a question as to how can I help you out of this situation. Everybody that needs your help is not out to use you. And we're not looking for anybody's sympathy. We're not looking for sympathy. We're just looking for your sincerest, honest opinion and your concerns. Well, just about my time, ladies and gentlemen. I've talked for an hour. I hope you enjoyed me just as much as I have enjoyed coming to you. And hopefully out of everything that we talked about for 1 hour, that I talked about for 1 hour, that you found just something, a microcosm of something in that situation that can change your outlook when dealing with someone with mental health issues, someone that is living under so much strenuous circumstances. And it doesn't have to be someone that you know, because you can learn something right here, right now, from someone that you don't know, on how to better deal with someone that you personally know that's going through some very strenuous circumstances. All right? And this may sound like a contradiction, but the genius is not always in the answer. Sometimes the genius is in the question. And that could be that person asking you the question, which provokes you to think about the solution. Okay, gang? You guys go out and have a beautiful Thursday. We call it Throwback Thursday. And give somebody a hug. But first, give yourself one. Hear my birds talking. The hawks, they're out. Thank you guys for coming on board. I enjoyed you today, as always. Thank you. Y'all go out and have a wonderful day. Peace.